you do understand some of the basic topics or daily conversation, and you can also answer some casual questions because you've been spending years and years learning English. But when it comes to difficult conversation, when it comes to deep down conversation, you just feel that you're not good enough to participate in that kind of difficult conversation, and you know that you have to work on improving yourself, but at the same time you're just not sure that which learning tips and techniques you have to pick up for improving your skills, because some of the tips and techniques are not just working out for you. So if you're in that kind of situation, then this video is for you. If you're new here, my name is Jeremy. I'm a student in the UK studying business management at the University of Sunderland. So today in this video, I'm going to share 7 tips and techniques that you have to use or that I've been using for years to improve my English. So the very first thing that we have to keep in mind is learning a new language is a long process. We have to work on consistently, and it is also challenging, but it is also rewarding. So it's really important to take it as a life learning journey and to enjoying it. So let's get started. Tip number 1, consistency is key. As I said before, consistency is the key to overall learning success. We have to dedicate a specific time each day to improve our skills. It doesn't matter how many hours you spend a day. It's all about how much consistency you have. So for example, you study 3 hours on one day and the next 3 days you just stop learning completely. Does that make sense? No, because this lack of consistency is one of the biggest obstacles that is holding you back. So regardless of how many hours you spend a day, how many new words you learned, the most important thing is you just need to improve your skills step by step with consistency and commitment. Tip number 2. For boosting vocabulary, I don't literally recommend memorizing a bunch of vocabulary without understanding how to use them in our own contents, like we used to do in Burma. In Burma, we have a laundry list of vocabulary we have to repeat and memorize 15 or 20 words a day. Actually, we don't even know how to use them in our own sentence. So that kind of learning method is just not working out. It's so overwhelming, and I think it's not effective at all. Instead, what we can do more effectively is learn vocabulary, learn new words in the contents that we are interested in. Let me give you some examples based on my experience. Before Russia-Ukraine war, I didn't know most of the political terminologies. But after following news about what was happening there for months, almost every day, I became familiar with the words that the political leaders are using every day. Eventually, I have learned many political terms without intentionally memorizing them. So another key to enriching vocabulary is to identify things around you in English. Instead of trying to memorize advanced and complicated words that we don't even use on day-to-day basics, what we can do more effectively is to learn what things around you are called in English. For example, do you know all the vocabulary about kitchen utensil, clothing, or the commodities you have in your own room? If you don't, these are the very first thing that you have to learn. So when you expand your vocabulary using flashcard, vocabulary apps, or creating your own word bank is highly recommended. It's highly effective. So learning a few new words each day can make a significant impact or significant improvement over time. So just make sure that you learn something new every day. Tip number 3. Practice makes progress. What do I mean by that? Because what you always hear is practice makes perfect. I don't literally agree with that, because no one can be perfect even though you practice. I'm not perfect when it comes to language, because this is not my mother tongue. English is not your mother tongue. You cannot be perfect. But when you practice, you can make progress. So that's why don't just try to be perfect, because you know what? Perfect is the enemy of good. You just need to good at English. You don't need to be perfect. Okay, so trying to be good, don't trying to be perfect. Okay, so why do we need to practice? Because textbooks and lessons are just the foundation, the basic foundations. But the key to mastering English, your English skills, lies in the consistent and intentional practice of the language. That's why it's really important to practice what you have learned. For example, you learned 3 new words yesterday. If you don't practice today and tomorrow, I'm sure that you're going to forget them. So it's really important to practice. One of the most ridiculously true questions that many people have, especially Burmese students have, is we have been studying English from kindergarten to the university, but why can't we use it in the real world? Well, that's very simply it's because we do not practice enough. So it's really important to put everything you learned into practice. Tip number 4, immerse yourself in English. Immersing yourself in English means surrounding yourself in English with English contents. You need to keep in touch with the English every day, like watching movies, listening to music, or reading books or articles or news, whatever you want to call it. You just need to have very good engagement with English. So in my experience, watching YouTube videos and listening to podcasts will help you improve your English skills and ultimately your overall knowledge as well. So when you're trying to improve yourself, what you have to do is forget about the contents in your mother tongue, which is Burmese. So we need to think in English. We need to talk ourselves in English when we are alone. Then you will be able to speak fluently and consciously. Tip number 5, embrace technology. In this age, it's really important to take advantage of technology, such as language vocabulary apps, online courses, and websites. In terms of applications, most students use Duolingo, Elsa, or BBC Learning English. And you can also have countless numbers of online courses or YouTube videos. If you prefer British English, then I highly recommend English with Lucy, Keep Speaking Academy, and BBC Learning English as well. But if you are into American English, then Speak English with Vanessa or EnglishClass101.com will be for you. Tip number 6. This is a very important part because a lot of students stay confusing when it comes to pronunciation and accents. It's critically important to know the difference between accent and pronunciation. Pronunciation is the way we speak or articulate individual words. It is the correct formation of sounds, stress patterns, or intonation. But on the other hand, accent is the distinctive way that a group of people speak a language, which obviously can differ depending on the region and background. So some people judge others' English ability or other language ability based on their accents. That's not fair because even in the UK or in the US, there's so many accents. So you don't have to you don't have to focus on your accent because you have your own accent and it is absolutely beautiful. The ultimate goal of learning a language is to communicate effectively with others. So as long as your pronunciation is good enough or is clear enough to understand, it is totally fine. So you don't have to worry about your accents. You just need to improve your pronunciations. So to improve my pronunciation, this is always what I do. So by the way, all these tips are the things that I learned from YouTube or whatever you want to call it on Facebook videos. So tip number 1, grab a book or go to online contents every day and read it out loud. Overdo your mouth movement or tongue movement like the way I'm doing right now because we need to train our muscle to adjust to the new language. record yourself to identify areas for improvement and correct yourself. So to get the right pronunciation, I use Cambridge because we can have access to both British pronunciation and American pronunciation as well. Tip number 7, learn from mistake. This is what I always tell my students because they're just afraid of making mistakes. You don't have to be afraid of making mistakes because everyone makes mistakes. I make mistakes. You make mistakes. Even the native speaker make mistakes in terms of grammar. So, as I said before, learning a new language is a long process. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So, making errors or making mistakes is a natural part of the process. But you just need to make sure that you use this mistake as a learning opportunity and push yourself forward. So stay committed and stay curious and enjoy the process. If you found these tips helpful, then please don't forget to like, share, and follow my Facebook page and subscribe my YouTube channel as well. Thank you for watching my video. I hope to see you soon.